This is Behavior Change 101 and how to stop making the same mistakes. I'm such a big believer that everyone knows what they need to do if they want to lose body fat, get out of pain, build muscle, improve their health, but we just don't do it, or we continue repeating the same mistakes. And so many coaches will tell you, you just don't want it enough, you just don't have enough discipline. And I think that just couldn't be further from the truth. I myself used to smash 40 beers a weekend, and there was nothing more that I wanted than to wake up on a Monday and feel fresh, not hungover, sad, tired, and down. I knew that it was making me gain weight. I knew that it was affecting my ability to work, and there's nothing more than I wanted than to change that, right? But every Sunday, every Saturday, every Friday, that would all go out the window and I would just default straight to the off license. And what came with that was takeaways, skipping training, low moods, and a few other things down the line. So, what we need here is behavior change. There's no question that you want fat loss, there's no question that you want to improve these habits and change these decision making. But most coaches purely think about it as a willpower and a discipline thing, which, in my opinion, is not the case. So, this is Behavior Change 101 and how we stop making the same mistakes. In order to fix this, you will need to make this mistake over and over again. So, the goal here is to continue making the mistake because we're going to actually, the next time we make the mistake, we're going to learn from it, right? So, next time it happens, we aren't going to be upset or down about it. We're going to think, this is an opportunity. This needed to happen for me to learn from it, and I'm going to show you how we will learn from it, right? So once we make the mistake, we're going to use the choice point model to reflect on the decisions we did make. And if you reflect enough, if you review enough, eventually you will change your decision making, right? Do not commit to never making the mistake again. Commit to the reflection that comes after the mistake. This is the only way that this changes. So, whatever that mistake is, if you hit the drive through on the way home from work, if you eat at night time and snack and binge, if you skip the morning alarm for the gym, whatever decision you're continuing to make, do not commit to never doing that again. Commit to, okay, the next time that this particular behavior happens, I am going to reflect. I'm going to sit down with a pen and a bit of paper and I'm actually going to write some stuff down. That is what I want you to commit to from watching this video, not to never doing the mistake again. When you've ordered the takeaway, when you've done whatever it may be, commit to the reflection that comes after. So you will have you will not change years of ingrained habits and behaviors after one time of doing this exercise. That is the most important part of this. If every single time you have a bad day at work, you order a takeaway, if every single time you have a long week at work, you have a drink, if every single time friends ask you to go out for meals and you go straight away for it, or every single time you go into the shop, you lift 2 bars of chocolates and packets of crisps, and you've been doing this for a while, we aren't going to undo those thought processes, behaviors, and decision making processes after one time of doing this exercise, right? Expect it to take time. The time will pass anyway. In 6 months' time, you could have done a bundle of work of reflecting on your choices and decision making and actually have changed this behavior with repeat reflections, or you could just be still making the same decision, stuck in the same pattern. And knowing that it takes time, but you've kind of got no other choice, unfortunately. A lot of these decisions, because they have been repeated for so long, they're ingrained and they are automatic. So often when they happen, we need a circuit breaker or a crossroad question to interrupt that pattern or to force more decisions. In other modules, we have circuit breakers and we have crossroad questions. If you can't find them, you can, or you want me to send you to them, because I will put this video on YouTube as well. Comment below circuit breaker, or comment, DM me and message me in the group, and I will send you it across. Circuit breakers are something that forces you to make 4 or 5 decisions about the same decision. So rather than reaching in, looking at the cupboard, seeing the packet of biscuits and grabbing one, it's something that stops that automatic decision process. It forces you to think 4 or 5 times and make the decision 4 or 5 times that you want this biscuit, right? If that's the behavior that we're talking about here. Circuit breakers come in many different forms. Crossroad questions are a version of circuit breakers, but in theory, the more decisions we have to make to do a behavior, the less automatic it becomes. Will it stop us from doing the behavior every time? No, but it reduces the likelihood of it, and we need circuit breakers if we're dealing with something that is ingrained. I'm happy to chat with you about what circuit breaker you can implement. Again, comment below, um, or message me in the group and we'll sort that out. This is about the review though, and how we do that review. A lot of the times these circuit breakers and these crossroad questions do not work until we actually review. There's so many circuit breakers that we have in terms, like one could be you set an alarm for 20 minutes. You actually, it sounds great in theory, you try it and it's like doesn't work, or you forget to just use it and it's actually quite a crap circuit breaker. So this is why, partly why we have to review, and it's all based off the choice point theory. Every decision we make, because we are constantly making decisions. I am choosing to work right now rather than scroll on my phone. I chose to drink water rather than Coke there. Every choice we make will either bring us towards our goal or bring us away from our goal. But it's never as black and white. Sometimes there's a decision that brings us kind of in the middle, and there should be kind of loads of hours here, but this is a simplistic way of looking at the choices that we make, right? And so the review is basically this. And if you're serious about making behavior changes and in 6 months' time you do not want to be still making the same choices that leave you feeling bloated, busted, tired, regretful, etc., etc., screenshot this and write it down in a diary or a page somewhere so that you can actually review the process. When we say that we learn from our mistakes, this is how you go about learning from these mistakes. A lot of people will make the same mistakes over and over again for years and never learn from it. This is how we learn. So when you have the situation, let's say for example, you had a long day at work, you didn't meet targets, and your boss has asked you to stay for longer. So on the way home, it's late, you can't be bothered cooking, you stop at the drive through, you get three donuts, of McFlurry, and a big Mac meal, right? What I want you to do is write down the exact situation and what happened, right? Asked to stay late, hit the drive through, ordered more than I probably needed because of the stress. That's what happened. What was the thought process at the time? What were you thinking? Were you thinking this was going to relieve your stress? Were you thinking that you were tired and needed more food? Could you not just be bothered? Like what was the thoughts around that, right? And then that will give you your trigger. That's the trigger. And most people don't even know their triggers. But when you explain the situation, you think about your thought process, you think about your emotions and your feelings, you then gain access to what the actual trigger is. Some of you will be more advanced than you will maybe know what your trigger is. You will know what emotions trigger you. Then what I want you to do is write down the choice you actually did in the moment, the non-goal aligned choice. And then after that, I want you to write down as many as possible goal aligned choices. So if you've got a goal of losing body fat, but because you had to stay late at work and you got out late and you couldn't be bothered cooking, didn't have the energy, you went straight to the drive through, that is a non-goal aligned choice. That is not bringing you closer to the goal of wanting to lose body fat. And so this is just a list of options of other stuff that you could have done. Well, there was a Subway next door and I probably could have got the Subway salad. Well, I could have chose some lower calorie options at McDonald's. I could have grabbed a low calorie ready meal from the shop. I could have um, got a packet of crisps and a low calorie ready meal. It's still lower calories than McDonald's, but it gives me that bit of stress relief. I could have had my meals prepared for the week ahead of time. I could have um, stopped, done some breath work to calm my emotions down before making the decision, and make the decision when I'm in a more or when I'm in a less emotional state, and that might be a bit better in terms of the quality of said decision. And there'll be loads of options, and at the start of doing this, you'll be pretty crap at coming up with options, but sometimes the other options are obvious. Now, once you do this once or twice, you won't be automatically in these moments making these decisions. But I guarantee once you've reviewed and reflected on 50 or 60 different mistakes, you get to the stage where these goal aligned choices are like they start to become ingrained in your brain in the same way that it's an automatic reaction for me when I had a long day, a long week at work, off license on Friday. But when you review the choices, and that was in me for years, it was automatic. I didn't think twice about it, it just happened. Or when I did think twice about it, I thought, it's a problem for me tomorrow, I'll deal with it, can't deal with it today, and I pushed it to the back of my mind. If we want to ingrain new ways of decision making, we need to study what decisions we can actually make in the first place. And we need to repeat that over and over and over again. We need a death by a thousand cuts. Beat the horse to death. Don't go out and beat any horses, but you know what I mean. Get really clear on it and do it so many times that By the 50th or the 60th time you've actually committed to review this, one of these scenarios or these situations, you'll find yourself starting to automatically make different decisions. This is behavior change 101. And if you're stuck making the same decisions, if you're stuck repeating the same mistakes over and over again, only to feel disappointed, upset, and disheartened, you need to start doing stuff like this. If you're in the group, we have tons of different modules exactly like this, and we need to commit to the mindset side of things as well as the other elements of behavior change. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to talk about what actual behavior change looks like when it comes to coaching, and not just coaching that's here's your calories, here's your workouts, but you actually want to unravel the thoughts in your mind and change the decisions you make on a daily basis so that they're better ones for you, comment under the video, find me on Instagram, message me the word info, and I'd be happy to walk you through how everything works. If you want the crossroad questions and the circuit breakers, comment below, or again, DM me in the group. If you search circuit breakers, it should come up in the group. I hope that was helpful, folks. Screenshot this, get it on paper, and let's start reviewing.